Hello, world. Welcome back to Larry's World. I am Larry Alfred Ways II. This is my poem 109, and it is housed in this lovely book. And my poem is about my travels. And what I'm doing right now is running down the number of countries that I traveled to over the years. And I'm up to 2018. So if you're watching this, I've already talked about, from 2007 when I moved abroad for the first time until now, 2018, which I am discussing. In the year, right now, it is 2019. So I'm talking about last year's travel. And the notes that I've written here reflect the fact that I've traveled to 12 countries, or the fact that I traveled to 12 countries in 2018. And those are, including my European tour, France, Germany, Portugal, Spain, Switzerland, and then my African tour of Ethiopia and Morocco, and my South American return my South American tour, which included Costa Rica, Panama, and Colombia. I failed to mention that my African tour included Tanzania and the island of Zanzibar. And I was living in Saudi Arabia when I did a lot of this travel. So on weekends, I would leave Saudi Arabia and travel to Bahrain. So if you're keeping track, for the year of 2018, those are 12 countries I traveled to. Now, it was a coincidence that I traveled to 17 countries in 2017, and I wasn't sure if I would match or exceed the number of countries in the year 2018, or 1/8. I didn't know if I would match the number of countries I traveled to the year prior or exceed it, and I didn't. That was not a concern. It was a matter of, where are you going to go, and when are you going to go? It depended on my schedule. It depended on my finances. It depended on where I was in the world. All right. And in 2018, I left the job. I left my job in Saudi Arabia, and I returned home. So that home being Los Angeles, California. And then from Los Angeles, I was able to travel down south to Costa Rica, Panama, and Colombia. So my travel really depended on where I was in the world, how much money I had, how much time I had, et cetera, et cetera. Now, what's interesting about my travel in 2018, after leaving my job in Saudi Arabia, is that my tax status. Now, when I left my job in Saudi Arabia, I was concerned with the amount I would have to pay in taxes if I returned to the United States prematurely. As I understand it, as an expatriate, as an American citizen living abroad, if you remain out of the United States for 330 days out of the year, or if you have taken residency, in a foreign country, you are exempt from paying taxes. This was my motivation for leaving the United States after I quit my job in Saudi Arabia and returned to Los Angeles prematurely. So what that means is, when I returned home after resigning from my position in Saudi Arabia, I left in November, and I still had December, all of December, which, let's see, November. Yeah, I had all of December. Oh, excuse me. No, I left in early November, and I had basically November and December to basically be in America. Now, if I were in America and if I had worked in America, then I would have a tax bill for the amount that I earned in America. And I didn't want to deal with any tax implications. I didn't want to, you know, do deal with any of that. So what I did is I left the country so that my tax status would basically be exempt, because for 330 days out of the year 2018, I would not be present in the United States. And that is the test, or that is the standard. That's 330 days is the threshold, that establishes your tax liability. So if you're outside of the country for more than 330 days, then you can claim a tax exemption and you can be good. According to my understanding, I'm not a tax professional. I'm pretty sure you can probably sense that. I'm not using tax terms, and I'm not very fluent. What I say, it doesn't sound like a tax professional. All right. But that was my travel for 2018, and that was the reason why I went south. I wanted to get out of the country so that I wouldn't have to deal with a tax liability whatsoever. All right.